Bain Company, the US-based management consulting firm, issued a statement today refuting allegations contained in parts of the first report of the State Capture Commission regarding the South African Revenue Service. Today, after much public criticism, Bain Company announced that it has withdrawn its membership from Business Leadership South Africa. We're joined now by Athol Williams, a former senior partner at Bain Company and whistleblower of the company's conduct during Tom Moyane's time as SARS commissioner. Thank you very much, Mr. Williams, for joining us this evening. Let's start here. When it comes to this is the third whistleblower that has actually come out publicly to speak about a suspicious activity around their lives since they have blown the whistle. Today it was Johan van Locherenberg, and we heard from Themba Masego last week, who also testified at the State Capture Commission. Have you, as a whistleblower, actually experienced anything of the sort that would be suspicious and something that is a threat to your life and livelihood?
Well, the reality that they describe is the sad reality that all whistleblowers live with, which is that we've got no protection from the state. To your question, I'm in exile right now. I've left South Africa because of the concern around my safety. So I absolutely share their concerns. Amongst the whistleblowers, there are some who have hired bodyguards. They've amped up their security at their homes. This is the daily reality that we live with.
Are you thinking that authorities are not doing enough to protect people like yourself?
They're doing nothing. I'm serious. They're doing nothing. I've been a public interest whistleblower for 2.5 years now. I've never had any support from any government entity, whether it's support, whether it's protection, whether it's discussion even about what my needs might be. Absolutely nothing. Not a single word.
Mr. Williams, let's go to today's story. You saw the statement from Bain Company today distancing itself despite the Nugent and Zondo Commission's finding that the company was an active player in the capture of SARS. What do you make of Bain's claims since you were a senior partner with the company?
Well, this withdrawal from BLSA is just a weak, transparent PR stunt that Bain's pulling. No right-minded South African believes the story. Most Bain people don't even believe the story. Their statement has the audacity to try and discredit the Zondo report, which I find quite despicable. And there's no remorse, despite what your newsreader just said, that Bain apologized for state capture. They never apologized for state capture. So we must be clear about that. They deny their involvement in state capture. They deny what the Zondo report found, and they deny what the Nugent report found. These people are showing themselves to be enemies of our country because they came, they did harm, and now they're denying it.
Athol, let's talk about your testimony. You had testified that Bain Company attempted to silence and harass you from speaking about its role in corrupting the state. Do you think that things have genuinely changed at Bain Company since new management took over a couple of years ago?
I don't know where you get the facts of this new management. That's also part of the PR, right? Bain, the same people who appointed Vittorio Massone handpicked him. They also handpicked his replacement, John Senior. John Senior in South Africa is not a new person to Bain. He's a Bain veteran who, of course, has just been sent to manage the cover-up. So we mustn't be fooled about new leadership. There's no new leadership at Bain. Massone's old boss is still at Bain. Massone's old boss's boss is still at Bain. Massone's whole team who worked with him are still at Bain. So there is no leadership. There's been no change of anything in terms of making full amends and making full disclosure. That's the issue that I've been on about for the last 2.5 years. It's about Bain knows what they did at SARS and Telkom and across our public institutions. They've got that information and they continue to to disregard South Africa's fight against state capture by withholding that information. For Bain to even talk about doing the right thing in our country, they've got to make that full disclosure. That's it. Nothing else they are doing is going to be relevant until they can make full disclosure and make full amends for the harm they've caused.
And just coming off what you've just said now, as a whistleblower to that corruption that took place at SARS with the involvement of Bain, are you satisfied at all with the action that has been taken against Bain, be it from legal authorities or business organization, since you blew the whistle 2.5 years ago? The reasons why you blew the whistle, are you regretful looking at how exactly Bain has been dealt with regards to how they conducted themselves?
Well, there's been no action taken against them. The Zondo Commission described Bain's activity as unlawful. Even the CEO of BLSA, Busi Mavuso, says Bain committed terrible crimes. So these are crimes against the people of South Africa. And I don't understand why there isn't outrage that this company continues to operate in our country when they've committed crimes against our people and no authorities are taking any action against them. So it's not an issue of enough action, there's just been no action. And so we've got to be desperately worried as South Africans that these people continue to be in our country, continue to have the influence and power they have, and there's absolutely no action taken against them. And this action today is a way of them avoiding more accountability, because this will now, they'll try and go back into the shadows where there'll be no questions asked of them. And that worries me and should worry every South African.
My last question to you, Athol. Do you think Bain's conduct in South Africa is similar in all the countries in which they operate? Because they're a global firm.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is the issue. I work for Bain in the US, I work for Bain in the UK, and the behavior they demonstrate in South Africa, they would never dare doing that in the US and the UK. Because in the US and the UK, they know there'll be consequences. They know that if they get caught, there'll be massive consequences. And they've come to South Africa insulting us by saying they can get away with it, and rather than bring their expertise to help our government institutions, they've exploited that weakness for their benefit. So in my mind, they've acted as an enemy to our country. They should be blacklisted from our country, barred from our country. Anyone doing business with them, I think, should be equally sanctioned until they will make full disclosure and make amends.
Mr. Athol Williams, a former senior partner at Bain Company and whistleblower to the corruption that took place at the South African Revenue Service, and talking to us there from the UK after leaving the country under a threat of his life since breaking his silence on the matters.